getting up from the bottom. And this guy is an amazing wrestler. He's a world champion. He's one of the few guys that beat Chaos Anderson in the Worlds and the Olympics and stuff. And he's just an amazing guy. And, but he has a weakness, and his weakness is getting away from the bottom. When people, if he ever got taken down, he didn't know how to escape. Well, that's why I think collegiate wrestling is more effective when it comes to martial arts and UFC than freestyle wrestling, because we have escapes and we have runs. I mean, if you look at Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's riding his opponents while he's tying up their legs and striking them, and it's very effective to be able to hold somebody down, especially on the street. And I mean, that's the reason I got into wrestling in the first place, was because I had no confidence. I was always young and small for my grade, and I was getting picked on a lot. Even though I was a really good athlete, I still was young and small, and so the fact that I was a good athlete made me an even bigger target, because people thought, oh, if I can beat him up, he thinks he's so good as an athlete. And so I didn't care about being an athlete anymore. What I cared about was learning how to fight. And one day it occurred to me, if I could just beat up everybody on earth, I could be happy with myself. Well, that got me out. I was the Northern California all-around state gymnastics champion when I was a sophomore in high school. I mean, I was doing 2.5 twisting, 1.5 backs off a 3-meter board, 2.5 fronts. I mean, I was an all-around state champion. And so it was, but I could do incredible acrobatic tricks, but I couldn't defend myself, and I didn't know what to do. And so I thought, okay. And see, back in 1976, when I grew up, we didn't know which martial art was the best one. Okay, we kind of know now. It's a combination of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling, Muay Thai, and boxing. But back then, we didn't know anything. We thought, everybody was claiming to be, had these ridiculous records. I was 5,000 0 or something. And so I thought, okay, if I can just learn how to beat everybody up, I could be happy. So I started searching through Black Belt magazine. I'm watching Bruce Lee movies, and and they didn't have a Bruce Lee studio near where I was, but they did have a Chuck Norris studio, and so I started taking his style of martial art, which is called Gangster. And it wasn't really practical. They never went live. It was just kind of them dancing around, and they would do kicks for points, and they wouldn't really hurt each other. So it wasn't real. But one day my brother came up. It was my 16th birthday. I'm up in Oregon, and my brother, who lived separate from me at the time, he comes up from Palo Alto, California, to visit me on my birthday, and he said something really disrespectful. I don't even remember what it was. And I said, okay, now I'm going to take my 4 months of Tangshido and teach him who the real boss of the family is. And so we went out on the front lawn, and I took a swing at him. I didn't know how good martial art wrestling was. And I took a swing at him, and he took me down, got the mount, and just punched my face into raw meat. And I was so humiliated, I slept in the car that night. And then the next day, I quit Tangshido, and I went out for the wrestling team. And I remained a wrestler until 1991. Then I had a match with Exxon Gracie, and that got me into Jiu-Jitsu, and then I said mixed wrestling with Jiu-Jitsu, and created my own style. I call it martial grappling, which sounds like Mark Schultz grappling. Coincidence. anyway, the thing about wrestling, the thing about collegiate wrestling that's superior to other sports is the ability to escape. And when I got into wrestling my first year, I was right next to this college, Southern Oregon College, and one of the wrestlers there, Jim Gogan, he taught me this move called the hand control stand-up. And the hand control stand-up was so effective. It's not really a move, it's more of a concept of how to get control of his hands from the bottom and to escape. And this was so effective, after my sophomore year in college, no one ever got a riding time point against me. When you stay on top of a guy for 1 minute more than he stays on top of you, you get 1 point riding time. Well, no one ever got that point on me after my sophomore year in college. And in the finals of the NCAAs, I had 3.5 minutes riding time my sophomore year, 3.5 minutes riding time my junior year, and 4 minutes riding time my senior year. That means I was on top of my opponents for 3.5 minutes and 4 minutes longer than they were on top of me. So that's how effective this escape and riding concept is. And it's really simple. If you guys are I'm not going to believe how simple this is, but nobody did it. When I was in college, nobody did this. And I'm not about to tell anybody because, this is one of my big secrets. But this thing was so effective, nobody could hold me down. And I could ride like almost anybody. And so, anyway, this is how you do it. If you're on the bottom here and he's riding you, okay, what you do is, first of all, in wrestling, they start off with the hand on the elbow. And this is the ride here. Okay, and first thing I do when I'm on the bottom here is I'm looking at the referee to see his whistle, see when he's going to blow his whistle. And when he does, I turtle up into this turtle position right here. And what happens is, once you do that, I can control both of his hands with one of my arms. As long as I got my elbow in tight like this, he cannot, see what he's trying to do is have both his arms around my body. This is he's controlling the trunk. This is my sacred area. I can't let anybody control this area. Well, if I block this off on this side, he can't get his arm underneath me here. And then if I grab him on this side, he can't do anything with this hand here. But I'm grabbing him at the fingertips. You don't grab people at the wrist. If you grab people at the wrist, he can still grab me, and he's still got control of me. But you grab him at the fingertips, now you got hand control. So I can control both of his hands on with one of my arms. And then after I get down in this position, I try to get my feet out from under me. I get to the side, and then I push back, and now I'm in a sit-out position. Now, if he pushes into me, I'll get up into a stand-up position here, but if he goes back down, I'm in a sit-out position. It doesn't matter whether you're standing up or you're sitting down. It's all the same. But what you do is you control this. I have him controlled on my left side and my right side by just one of my arms. So this arm now is free. Now I use this arm to get my head up and get my feet out. And now I can switch to here, and now I've got even more control of his hands. And the reason this move is so effective is because the back of your head, the human body has a couple of hard spots. One of them is the top of the head, the other is the back of the head, the other is the elbow, the other is the knee. But one of the softest spots in the human body is the face. That's why you punch people in the face. So if you look at my position now, the back of my head is right in front of the front of his face. So if I'm gonna get away from this guy and he's not letting me get away, I'll reposition my head into where his face is, and then I'll start throwing my head back. And once I get my hips far enough away, that's the secret. That's what you're trying to get, your hips far enough away. And then you can push back here and you cut away. And if cutting away doesn't work to one side, let's say I try to cut away this side, it doesn't work. I'll go the other way, it doesn't work. The other way, it doesn't work. And I start wiggling out. Wiggling out of this side. And, you know, I was more energetic, I'll show you, but anyway, that's the reason this thing works. You get control from the bottom, you get your feet out in front of you, you get your head and your shoulders against his face and his chest, and then you start throwing your hips away. You start peeling his hands off and get your hips away. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to separate your hips from his hips. As soon as you get your hips separated, you cut away. If cutting away from one side doesn't work, you cut to the other side. If that doesn't work, the other way, the other way, the other way. Pretty soon you're going back and forth like a sewing machine. You just throw the guy until you get away. Okay? So, let's partner up and actually let's do this. Let's get your partner and line up in straight lines, like 1, 2, 3, 4 straight lines facing me with your partner. Okay? Okay, on 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.